Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
8:07, it's O'Connor and Company. It's Monday. We're looming toward the end of the fiscal year in the federal government. We might have a government shutdown this week, or we might not, or it might be business as usual, but the media will make it a government shutdown. Either way, we've got you covered on it. Julie Gunlock is back from vacation. She was in Stockholm, where she, yes, did have syndrome of sorts.
Yeah.
Something.
It'd be nice to be
the
there
Stockholm
right now.
syndrome sounds like Montezuma's revenge, doesn't it?
No, it sounds like Stockholm syndrome.
Sorry, I've got a really bad case of Stockholm syndrome. Must have been the meatballs.
Gross.
And the lingonberries.
The meatballs were delicious. There you go.
Well, I should think so. That's all they got. And the pancakes. Good Swedish pancakes. I've been to IHOP. They're fabulous. Anyway, yeah. Julie's back. And joining us right now, we turn from that discussion to the war in Israel. General Jack Keane joins us now. Of course, General Keane is a retired four-star general, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War and a Fox News senior strategic analyst. President Trump made announcements this weekend that it appeared as though they were nearing toward a resolution and the end of the war in Gaza. Prime Minister Netanyahu gave his speech to the UN on Friday. He's meeting with the president today. General Keane, do you know anything about what may be happening here? Because it seems to me, unless those hostages and the remains of the dead hostages, the murdered hostages, are released, this is a non-starter. So they must have something moving in that direction if they're making noise that they could be reaching an end here.
Yeah, well, I just returned from 9 days in Israel. I'm pretty familiar with what's taking place here. This is not just a hostage deal. This is a war termination deal, and the president is very much behind that. It's all of the hostages or nothing. That's number one. They're not going to accept a partial release of the hostages, which has always been one of the objectives that Hamas has. The second key ingredient to the deal is that Hamas must step down from governing Gaza and disarm. They have to agree to that, or there is no deal. And that is something they have never agreed to in the past. So, and as we know, we have been here before in terms of great optimism about a deal being struck, and then at the last minute, no deal. So we have great optimism this time, and it does seem a little different than what we have experienced in the past. And based on my 9-day visit to Israel, I mean, I know for a fact that Hamas has been decimated. They have thousands of fighters left, but most of them are young teenagers. They're down to their third tier in leadership. They don't have the same confidence that their other senior leaders had who have been killed. So they may be more pliable to making a deal this time than in the past. I think we'll know within 24 hours whether this is going to happen or not.
It sounds incredibly encouraging, General Keane, and thank you for delivering that news direct from Israel. But I got to ask, and maybe I'm being cynical or maybe I'm being realistic, but even if they agree, okay, fine, Hamas will disarm and disband and step down, as long as they are radical jihadists who don't believe that Israel has a right to exist, they're just going to reconstitute under a different flag and a different name, aren't they?
Well, Israel will not let that happen. Hamas, let's put it this way, if Hamas agrees to the terms, the hostages are released. The president is insisting the hostages must be released within 48 hours after agreeing to terms. So the hostages are released. Hamas has agreed to disarm and disband, and they're given a period of time, obviously, to do that. Israel will pull back its forces somewhat, but not leave Gaza. If they don't disarm and disband, Israel will go after them and finish them off. I just know that's what'll happen.
Trump has made some comments recently about not allowing Israel to annex with the West Bank and not taking over Gaza. When you say that Israel won't allow this to happen, how can they avoid that? What kind of what types of things can they do? Will this administration allow Israel to do in terms of control over these areas?
Well, they're two different issues, the Hamas issue and the West Bank issue. I actually think what's happening here on the West Bank issue, the president has come out and said they don't want Israel to annex that. And annex it means make it their territory.
Yeah.
And that's got huge Arab opposition. When you get into the coalition that the prime minister has, he has a right-wing part of that coalition that is demanding that of the prime minister. I actually think the president, maybe not intentionally, but he's giving Prime Minister Netanyahu some political cover here. He's saying no to it. Netanyahu has no choice whatsoever to agree to that and go forward. And it gives him cover within his political coalition. It's not going to happen, Israel annexing the West Bank.
General Keane, General Jack Keane is our guest. And General, President Trump has also made some statements over the last several days about a push to reclaim Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. And his main concern here is its close proximity to China and China's growing nuclear program. I know you're familiar with our operations in Afghanistan before the ill-fated pullout and the disposition of the Bagram Air Base. What would something like that look like? And is he talking about reclaiming the base as some sort of military agreement with the ruling Taliban, or what?
Yeah, that would have to be, the Taliban would have to agree to that. I would assume we would make that an attractive offer to the Taliban because they're in dire straits economically. Only one country has recognized them, and that's Russia. The other problem we have, and certainly our intelligence services are briefing the president, is ISIS has a sanctuary in Afghanistan. They're opposed to the Taliban, and they've already conducted out-of-region attacks with aspirations to attack the United States. They would certainly see Bagram as a very lucrative target for them. So there would obviously be some aggression against the United States in Afghanistan if we occupied Bagram. There's no disputing the strategic value of it. Right. Bagram, Afghanistan touches China, it touches Iran, it's one country away from Russia. Afghanistan always has strategic value beyond the obvious dealing with the Taliban and radical Islamists. We had 3 intelligence bases in Afghanistan. Not all of them were focused on the Taliban for obvious reasons, given the enemies that were surrounding us.
It would be incredible irony for us to now make some sort of deal with the Taliban to come back to Bagram, since we were there and held it, and perhaps that should have been discussed ahead of time before the full withdrawal. If we do go back there, obviously, whatever service personnel and troops and airmen that we have on the ground in Bagram utilizing that base, they would be in constant harm's way, would they not? The security footing, if ISIS is active there, as is the Taliban, would have to be significant, and there would be great danger, wouldn't there?
Yeah, certainly. Yes, we would. That occupation would be contested by ISIS, and. But let me make this point. The ground commander, Scotty Miller, who was our last ground commander in Afghanistan, when we were about to pull all of our troops out and close Bagram Air Base, he asked the Biden administration, are you sure you want to do this? It took 3 weeks for him to get an answer, and they said, shut it down. And obviously he had to do that and comply.
One of the greatest disasters of the last recent decades, and that's saying something. A little bit more with General Keane here, as we've got some developments in Ukraine as well in a moment.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Speaking with General Jack Keane, fresh off a long visit to Israel, where he says we should keep an eye on that meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today at the White House. General Keane just said that within the next 48 hours we could have an agreement to end the war entirely, which includes release of hostages, remains of hostages, and Hamas disbanding, which would be remarkable and phenomenal and miraculous. Turning our sights to Eastern Europe, it appears over the last 10 days now that President Trump has sort of reached his wit's end with Vladimir Putin and Moscow, and is even suggesting that Ukraine, with the support of Europe, with arms supplied by the United States or sold by the United States, that Ukraine could win this war outright, and that he seems to be in favor of that now as the latest move here, including potentially the sale of Tomahawk missiles that President Zelensky is now asking for. What's new here in this scenario? Because it sure seems like a different message coming from the president.
Well, I think you put your finger right on it. I mean, the president gave Putin a lot of time and a lot of rope, so to speak, to come to the table, and multiple phone calls and obviously in-person meetings. And Putin, has continuously lied to the president, the last of which was around the Alaska summit when he said he was willing to meet with Zelensky. And then we found out 24 hours through Putin's spokesman, no, there was never any agreement to do that when there was, and that conditions had to be established before there would be a meeting. So I think this is a frustration with Putin, and obviously a separation from Putin in terms of diplomatic overtures to try to achieve a peace deal. And now supporting Ukraine, I think, in two ways. One, militarily, and they're obviously going to upgun Ukraine in terms of capabilities. There's extended range attack missiles, some 3,000 of them that are already en route, that go beyond the range of the offensive weapons that we've already given them. Tomahawks would go considerably further, over 1,000 miles a Tomahawk can fly. That would be quite dramatic. But the other thing has to take place also, I believe, the economic pressure in terms of sanctions and tariffs to shut down their oil. I will tell you this, for our audience to understand, that the intelligence we provide to Ukraine is exquisite, and it is helping them reach the oil deposits that exist inside of Russia. And they're having quite success in doing that. Not a lot of attention being paid to it for obvious reasons, but it's starting to show shortages of gas inside of Russia and people waiting on gas lines as a result of it, which obviously is an impediment to the people, but a lot of pressure points on Putin here. A lot more to be done here. This is hard work in front of us. I still think there's an opportunity to bring Putin to the negotiating table, but we're going to have to force him. Military pressure and economic pressure.
The interest in your thoughts on the Europeans, they seem to have conveyed to Putin that they're ready to shoot down any Russian jets. And, we've seen some interesting moves on some of these new NATO members, Sweden increasing their defense spending by $3 billion in 2026, and they're going to meet those NATO requirements. So they seem to be, Europe in general seems to be more willing to support this effort. But I think there's real nervousness. I was in Sweden just last week and, was talking to some of the people there and some of the elected officials, and there's real nervousness, especially since that incursion into Poland. Do you think that pressure from Europe is affecting Putin at all, or does it not matter to him?
It will matter to him, but he is making a significant strategic move here, and Putin is not reckless. He's ruthless, but he's not reckless, and he operates deliberately and methodically. We've been watching this guy for 25 years, and what he is doing here, he is clearly trying to undermine the transatlantic alliance, NATO, the United States, and the Europeans, and he's signaling to the Europeans, I want you to focus more on your own defense as opposed to helping Ukraine. And he's also telling him that he is dead serious about taking Ukraine and expanding into Eastern Europe. These are Article 5 violations. That's, you fire on one, all the other countries in NATO have to support that country. They're not Article 4, let's talk about it and wring our hands. This is a violation of sovereign airspace with war-type airplanes or drones. They have every right to shoot back at them. If they don't shoot back at them, hundreds are going to show up and eventually thousands. And listen, they don't have the air defense systems, frankly, that Ukraine has. Not even close. I'm talking about these Eastern European countries. So they are definitely vulnerable here for sure. And it wouldn't take much for Putin, in just using drones alone, hundreds of them, to overwhelm them. He is sending a clear message that he wants them to step back, and he is becoming more and more aggressive here. And the United States and the Europeans got to see it for what it is, and we've got to stop it now before it gets worse.
General Jack Keane is with us, and it's always an honor to have a flag officer with us, let alone a 4-star. So I got to take this opportunity to ask you your impression of this much publicized meeting at Quantico that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has called for, and now it turns out President Trump might be joining that meeting as well, it appears, according to the Washington Post, of some of the nation's top generals and admirals all coming for a face-to-face meeting. I'm told this is unprecedented, but certainly before electronic and video meetings, this was pretty standard. You want to talk to all the generals, you got to get them all in one room. What do you make of this, and what does your understanding or what do your sources tell you this meeting is really going to focus on?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, it is unprecedented for a Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense, using the old term, to do. Service chiefs have done this within their own services when they take over. That's not unusual. And what he's talking about, and what the senior leaders have been told, he has written a number of messages to the force in terms of what he's trying to achieve, what his vision, his goals, and objectives are. And he's going to talk to them about that to reemphasize it and give them some feedback in terms of what he's been seeing, for the last 9 months or eight months or so since he's been on the job. And he invited the president to come. There was some doubt whether the president was going to come or not. And now it looks like he's decided to attend. People are, I think, making a lot more out of this than what it really is, in my impression, and they're attributing other things that are going to take place here that I don't think are going to take place. But that's what I've been told.
The chain of command is clear, and you've got your commander-in-chief, you've got the Secretary of Defense, and then you've got your military leaders, the generals and admirals. And the president ran, literally, part of his stump speech was some concerns he had about the direction of the military and some reforms that he wanted to put in place. If 8-9 months in, they feel that those reforms are not happening because there are some generals who might not be on board, it seems legitimate to bring them all into the room, look them in the eyes, and say, this is how it's going to be, and if you're not on board, then you can take your retirement. Is that sort of what this is looking like?
I don't know if those if that kind of temperament will be in the room or not.
Well, I'm talking like a talk radio host instead of a diplomatic secretary.
Yeah, I think that. I've talked to the secretary. I was in his office one-on-one last Monday, and he has seen a lot of good things out there as he goes around in the force, and certainly seen some other things that he would like to see fixed. And when he sees that, he tells people about it, and believe me, they fix it. Okay, they know who to. Yeah. The one thing the military knows is they know who their bosses are, right? I mean, you don't start giving orders until you've demonstrated you can follow them first, all right? And that's the reality of it.
Did the secretary challenge you to a push-up challenge at all while you were there? Or he
No.
All right.
He hasn't done anything like that. No.
He's very athletic, very active. It's like I would be worried. It's like it'd be great to have a meeting in his office, but I'd be afraid he'd say, "All right, let's do some push-ups." Like, no, I'm not going to do that. All right, General Keane, we got to leave it there. It's always good to talk to you, sir.
General.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good week, guys. Take care. Right. Bye.
Sometimes General Keane he's very tolerant of me. Sometimes you can hear he's like, all right.
He's not afraid of a push-up challenge.
No, hell no. Are you kidding? He doesn't do push-ups. He does earth downs or something.
All right, coming up, the NFL has picked their halftime entertainer, and nobody knows who he is. We'll explain. Keep it here. It's 8:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:37. It's O'Connor and Company, and we're having a blast here this Monday morning because Julie Gunlock's back from vacation. Also, Julie, get excited because coming up in 30 minutes, you're going to see Chris Plant.
Yay. It's always exciting.
You know what else is exciting, Jules?
What?
The Super Bowl.
Sure.
We are now 4 weeks into the NFL season.
Okay.
And your Commanders lost to Atlanta. But, we didn't have our number one quarterback or our number one receiver. So what do you expect?
Right.
That said, that wasn't great. That said, there's still hope in the area that we could get to the Super Bowl. And should the Commanders go there, or by some obscene stretch of the imagination the Ravens get there, they will be able to see a stunning half-hour or maybe even an hour-long halftime show. It is amazing on a regular football day. Halftime is 15 minutes, but at the Super Bowl, you will see you in an hour.
Yeah.
Let's milk this for all it's worth. Here's a quick quiz. Who was last year's halftime performer?
I don't know, but he did that jazz hand snappy thing. I can't remember what his name was.
Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
Kendrick Lamar. It's Kendrick Lamar. And Serena Williams was dancing.
Oh, that's right.
If you remember, on the sideline. Anyway, they just announced yesterday the performer for this year's Super Bowl. Thank you. It's Super Bowl 60, by the way. February 8th, 2026 at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. The performance will be conducted by Bad Bunny.
I have no idea who this is.
That's right, a Puerto Rican rapper. Because nothing says America's game like a Puerto Rican rap artist. By the way, also a rap artist who appears to hate the current government. Here he is speaking out about ICE and deportations. Cut 12.
I'm never performing in the U.S. again. I'm scared that ICE might raid the venue outside my show. And honestly, I can't risk the safety of my fans like that. Mainland America just doesn't feel necessary to me anymore. I've already performed there plenty of times. Fans in the U.S. have had lots of chances to see me live. That being said, I still care deeply about my Latino and Puerto Rican fans living in the States. Seeing me perform in Puerto Rico is always an option. That's why in my upcoming world tour, there are no stops in the continental U.S.
Well, so he's based on his firm stand and principles and values, he refuses to perform in the U.S. unless the NFL writes a big fat check for him.
Yes, that he's perfectly fine with it. Yes, typical.
But his concern is that because he's Puerto Rican, so he can't be deported, of course, sadly. But he's concerned that his fans, and I'm guessing also people who work on the show, his backup dancers and singers, band members, crew, he's afraid that they're going to be deported. But now he's announced that he's going to be the performer for halftime at the Super Bowl. Can I just say quickly, Julie? Mm-hmm. Tom Homan has the chance to do the funniest thing. I mean, how great would that be? Live, worldwide television, billion viewers. Just bring that armored vehicle right into the center field of the Super Bowl
halftime show. He should be the halftime show. Now that's a good idea.
Show I can get behind. Let's go. Be amazing.
But honestly, did you know who this was?
I never heard of him.
I mean, I know I'm old, but like
Bad Bunny.
I had no idea.
I knew who Kendrick Lamar was. I knew who Kendrick Lamar was. I knew who Usher was. I'll be honest, I didn't know who The Weeknd was when they announced The Weeknd.
Yeah, that was a dumb name.
As is typical, they don't care about me as a viewer. They just don't care. But can I just want to point out a trend. Can I point out a trend for the halftime shows? In 2020, we had Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. Now that's something for everyone. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I know.
Right.
Men like that.
Wide appeal, if I could say. Mm-hmm. Now, here are the last several performers at halftime. 2021, The Weeknd. 2022, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. 23 was Rihanna. 2024 was Usher. And now 2025 was Kendrick Lamar. And now 2026 will be Bad Bunny. Do you see a trend?
I do.
For the last 6 years, the music has been hip-hop and rap and R&B. It's like, are there no other types of music?
Apparently not.
For the world to enjoy? Apparently
not. But you know what? Honestly, I feel like halftime now is a time to warm up the queso, like take a bathroom break, maybe take a little rest, maybe check out some other channels, right?
Sure.
Watch
the Puppy Bowl is going on, right?
Yes. I mean, I don't know anybody. First of all, and let me say, do not let your kids watch halftime show. Don't. It's not family friendly. It hasn't been for years. Just turn it off. Since
Janet Jackson.
Yes.
And the wardrobe malfunction.
Yes.
which is tame in comparison. It's 8:42.
Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's 5K a day on WMAL.
Speaking of Serena Williams, she's going viral for all the wrong reasons. She posted this weird video from the hallway of a luxury hotel as she was heading to the elevator. I guess there was like a floral arrangement that evoked like a cotton plant. There were
it was a cotton plant. It was a cotton plant. Which cotton plants, it's a branch, and then there's these little puffs of cotton, and it's a very common home decor thing. But she decided to make it all about racism and suggested that displaying cotton in this way was somehow racist. Nobody asked her, what? And then she picked a piece of the cotton. So it was a display in a hallway. Let me tell you my feelings on this, Larry. I aspire to be so bored and wealthy that I walk around hotels and pick off things that I think are offensive. I mean, can you imagine being so bored and so privileged and so wealthy that you have no problems in the world, so you sort of make them up? That's exactly what this is. And actually, it's been nice to see that she's received quite a lot of blowback for looking for the racism in a home decor item. It's absolutely absurd.
Well, and I don't quite understand the extension of the complaint here and how it's supposed to play out in real time. Of course, the idea that cotton was, part of the transatlantic slave trade, and therefore, there were enslaved Americans from Africa who were told to pick cotton, and that was okay. I get that, but does she not wear cotton clothing?
She does.
Does she?
Yes,
how far is this supposed to go? But just seeing cotton in its natural habitat. By the way, also, I'm sorry for pointing this out, but people have noticed that when Architectural Digest did a profile on her luxury home, there was a piece of art that featured cotton in the art. It's called Monument for a Promise, depicting a donkey carrying a trunk and
she
stand
didn't think
over
this through. No, she didn't
mound
think
of
this
cotton.
through.
Also, it should be pointed out that as she is, suffering from the indignity of seeing cotton in a luxury hotel room because it's oppressing her as an African American, she's married to a white man. And in the video of her picking the cotton, she's got a beautiful blonde head of hair.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of racial confusion going on here, is all I'm saying. It's 8:52.
Okay.